If you're watching this, if you're snuggling in your bed, not doing anything today, it's okay. If you haven't accomplished anything today that you are supposed to do, but the day is ending, it's okay. I forgive you for being imperfect. And you should forgive yourself for being imperfect, because everyone is imperfect. And this is the mindset that you exactly want to have when dealing with depression or trying not to develop depression. Firstly, in order to understand depression is developed when you force yourself too much on either working or usually working or struggling with people, relationships, and so on. If you struggle continuously, then your brain starts to have this defense mechanism telling you to stop working, rest your body, rest your brain, rest your mind. So depression is precisely like fatigue, brain's fatigue, which is why it is completely okay if you don't feel like doing anything, if you haven't done anything in a day and it's nearing the end of the day. It's completely acceptable. It's completely acceptable. You can't wake up in the morning. It's completely okay. If you can't work out, if you can't take morning walks, it's completely okay because you're depressed. And depression is like that. Depression is trying to prevent you from doing those things. So just don't be so guilty. Don't be so hard on yourself. And even if you're not depressed, this mindset is going to prevent depression from happening. Many of the depressed people are perfectionists, really hard on themselves. And they don't celebrate themselves. They don't treat themselves, even when they have to. After a long day of working, you still count those things that you didn't do, the things you did wrong, and so on. And then you just bully yourself like that. But how is it going to make your condition better? Has being hard on yourself worked in a positive way? Have you become a better person by being hard on yourself? Maybe to some extent, but does it feel good? Does it motivate you to do anything? That's the question you want to ask when you're being hard on yourself, when you're doing anything. Because does it work to make my life in a better direction? Does it steer my life to a better direction? If the answer is no, stop right there, for God's sake. Stop, figure out where you are, figure out where you're headed to, navigate yourself to where you want to be. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to be lazy, you have to choose to be lazy or anything like that. If something is valuable but it's stressful at the same time, yes, it's worth doing. But not when you're depressed. You're depressed, but you put value in doing animal rights activism. Yes, it is your value, it is where you want to head to because you value those activism. You're clearly not ready. It's like marathon runner who broke their leg, but they want to try running. It's how ridiculous that is. And it's how ridiculous it is to expect someone who's depressed to do those things, to do things better, something like that. You can't expect a depressed person to go out, do stuff, or do the errands. So if you're depressed, you want to make sure you're seeing yourself correctly. You're seeing yourself as a marathon runner who broke her leg. And then, what do you want to do? Okay, you need to rest your body, right? If that's the case, rest your body, probably rehabilitation when you're getting on a recovery phase, not when you're like really at the worst phase. I talked about it in the last video of mine. If you're at the worst phase of your depression, don't do anything. Don't do anything even if you know it's really productive and it's valuable. No. If you're depressed, it means like you're like dying. And I want to remind you that depression is a mental illness. It's not just being feeling down so on. It is an illness. And it is really, it doesn't recover like linear like this. It doesn't improve like this. It goes like 3 steps forward, 2 steps backward, 3 steps forward, 2 steps backward, 3 steps forward, 2 steps backward. So it's like you gain 1 step even if you're like recovering 3 steps. Does that make sense? Because it is really unpredictable. Depends on the weather, depends on how you perceive the world, and if you're depressed, how you perceive the world is really distorted. You're looking at the world through a really dark glasses or something like that, dark tinted glasses or something like that. So it is really serious condition. And if you think just depression is like you're just being lazy, you're just boycotting, you're not working because you don't want to, it is wrong. It is a mental illness, and you have to treat it seriously. If you're depressed, or if your family member, your friend, your girlfriend, boyfriend is depressed, you have to be really considerate towards them, either them or to yourself. The summary of this video is, if you're not being able to do things you wanted to do, if you're being lazy, if you're snuggling in bed all day, it's fine. That's what your brain's telling you to do. It's fine. If you crave crisps, chocolate cakes, it's fine. Just calories, it just don't matter. What matters the most is that you get better, and I am encouraging you to be compassionate towards yourself, be kind to yourself. If you're not kind to yourself, I will be kind to you. I am being kind to you. I don't see which lens, probably that lens. Yes, I am kind to you. Yes, so please be kind to yourself. Until you learn to be kind to yourself, I'll be kind to you. I'm on your side, so please stay safe out there. Thank you so much for watching. I think I will be posting more videos about depression because I have depression for a long time, for over a year now, and I want to share my stories with people who are depressed or who have family members or acquaintances, friends who are depressed. And it really is really important topic to talk about, especially if you're a vegan activist, because if you're depressed, you won't be able to do the activism. But you, at the same time, you shouldn't rush. You shouldn't feel guilty for being depressed and not being able to do the activism. It is your rights to rest when you want to. So just embrace that rights. Don't push yourself. Okay? Even if you're not depressed, if you're a perfectionist, stop bullying yourself. I will recommend reading this book. It is a masterpiece by Brené Brown, Daring Greatly. This is how I learned not to be a perfectionist. I am not 100% not a perfectionist, meaning I am kind of a perfectionist still, even after reading this book. But this isn't my suffering tremendously, so I recommend reading that book. This one, it is really classic book, I would say. I would consider this to one of my Bibles. And I also have new cover. I renewed a new cover of Strong-Hearted Vegan. I want you to read this one too, not just because I wrote this book, but also I'm sure this is going to be helpful. if you're mentally struggling as a vegan. It guides you through, it says develop strength to live in a non-vegan world. It just guides you through how to live in this dystopian world, vegan dystopian world. So please consider reading that book. I really, really like this book. And I'll see you in the next one. Until next time.